Right. Hi, Arde. It's so nice to see you. It's almost exactly a year ago since we first met in Järna. I'm off to Järna this weekend, and but I understand you're not going there. But you are going to be taking part in the Mystech Conference
Yes,
in August in with under
yes,
Andrew's regie. We'll talk a little bit later about what you're going to be, the ideas you're going to be developing, like more thoroughly there. But I was thinking perhaps you'd like to talk about some of the questions that have been occupying your mind. I've seen your Facebook posts about Vidar and talking about why aren't people like more interested in this topic. Tell us tell us a little bit about like where what's the new thinking that's happening in your field of research.
yeah. Well, when I became aware, well, first I actually met Vidar in the spiritual world, and I had no idea who he was. So I went up to Vidar Åsen in Norway and
Is
asked, "Who
that close
is
to where you
Vidar?"
live or?
That's a Camp Hill village
Ah, okay, yeah.
close to me, where I lived when I was 21. But I never knew why it called Vidaråsen. I have thought about it a few times. Why do they call it Vidaråsen? I had no idea because I haven't read the complete works of Steiner. So then they asked me to read the cycle of the folk spirits and also a part of a book of Prokofiev. And then I understood that Vidar is actually an incredible, important spiritual being in our time.
Yeah.
He is both the guardian of at least a part of the threshold. He is the archangel of both Norway and the Nordic countries,
Yeah.
and probably the bringer of Christianity to the world, sort of instigated by Michael himself to sort of do his work while he is an archivist, which he became in 1879. So that then his sort of work as an archangel was vacant from 1879 on, and Vidar took that up. And as this is such an important spiritual being, especially for us up in the north, I think actually for the whole world, but it seems that we have sort of the obligation or duty to bring this knowledge to the world. Also, as Steiner presented his thoughts about Vidar in the north, in Oslo and in Helsinki and in the Scandinavian area. So
Could
I
I?
have been, yeah,
That, could you talk us through a little bit this when you first met this being? If these type of experiences are always incredibly difficult to communicate. It's the nature of describing spiritual experiences. But is can you find a way of first of all describing the experience itself if possible, and then this important aspect, what was it that allowed you to know that it was Vidar and yeah, not some
yeah,
other
yeah.
spiritual
Now
being?
we come into a point that is very important to me, and that is the difference between meditation and walking, or what I call fading, which Steiner described in a lecture in Helsinki in 1912, 3rd of April, where he described how you can sort of walk or fade into the spiritual world. And this technique is very little used among anthroposophists. And it is not meditation. It is actually walking. You venture into the spiritual world, not by meditation, but by being there, by moving your elemental legs. And that is a technique I've been, long before I read Steiner, been doing since I was very small. I was traveling in the spiritual world my whole life, half of the time I lived, probably. So when you say it's very difficult to describe a spiritual experience like that, it is actually not that difficult, because when you walk there, you are there, and then you can describe it quite detailed, because it has nothing to do with sort of insight or experience or meditative imagination, which is difficult to describe, of course, an imagination. But when you then stand in front of this spiritual being, he's very exact, detailed even. And then I ask, when I came to this threshold after several months of traveling through the elemental world, I was quite sure that I would meet Mikael. So when he said, "No, I am Vidar," that's when I went up to Vidar also and asked my friends there, who is Vidar, and they explained that he is sort of the stand-in a way, or helper of Mikael. So that is how. So it was very obvious.
Can I ask a
And
further question? Oh, sorry, go on.
when you walk into the spiritual and you meet a spiritual being, and you ask for the name, you get the right name. Yeah.
Because spirits can't lie.
They cannot lie. Even adversarial spiritual beings have to tell their name.
And if so I'm scraping around in my knowledge barrel of Scandinavian mythology. It was Tyr that put his hand in the mouth of the Fenris wolf, and Vidar
One
was
moment. Yeah. Yes. Go on.
that put
It
his
was my
hand in
son.
the Fenris wolf, and Vidar is the promise that's given in Scandinavian mythology that there will be a resolution. Or perhaps can you fill in the details there?
Yeah, that is also quite interesting, because Mikael, he was fighting the dragon, or Saint George. Mikael was fighting the dragon, and which is Lucifer. And that was 100 years ago, or 200 years ago. These stories are quite old. But Vidar, and that was this fight against the Luciferic spirits, sort of ended 1879, where they were thrown down on Earth, the spirits of darkness.
Spirits of darkness, yeah.
That was the Luciferic spirits, although they had a tint of Arianic. But then Vidar took over in 1879, and his fight is against the Fenris wolf. And that is not Lucifer. And the most dangerous adversarial today is Ahriman. He is the most dangerous today. He's the one that will destroy us. So Vidar is leading in the fight against Ahriman, the Fenris wolf, which he will, according to Nordic mythology, be able to kill. Well, you cannot kill a spiritual being, but
Overcome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after this, it will be the third fight against the Assyric forces. And that is the three adversarial forces that they had in Nordic mythology. First...
Because you had the Midgard serpents.
First the serpent, then the wolf, and then the death. Hell.
That's right. Yeah.
Hell, yeah. Which also will be defeated, but not by Vidar. But that is not yet.
Yeah.
So you see, these are 3 fights we have to go through. 3 sort of classes of spirits of darkness.
So through the astral realm, the etheric, and down into the physical.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. Correct. Very good. And that is why I try to get my friends, anthroposophic friends in Scandinavia, to work more with Vidar and that path. But it's not that easy because, when you have studied Steiner whole life, and Vidar was not important at that time. He was just in the
There's very
becoming.
little conference material on him. That's for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even Steiner talked about the Archangel Michael, while he should, in a way, have said the Archimichael and the
Yeah.
Archangel Vidar. So
So
that's why when you have read very much Steiner, you have a little difficulty in accepting then the Vidar path.
yeah.
And that makes me a little sad.
Yeah. So what? Two thoughts are going through my head at the same time here. It's like Michaelic's, it's like the conscious spiritual thinking impulse. So the archai is the time spirit. So how would you describe, it's like Vidar's function as like as the archangel? Because Steiner's like gives quite detailed lectures on how the angels work in our astral bodies and the impulses they're trying to bring to humanity. But I feel myself agreeing with you there. I don't remember the clarity of sort of this middle rank, the
Right,
archangel, the Vida that you're talking about. But perhaps you
right.
can you clarify something there?
Uh, Clarify how they
As in
work.
the sense, so, how is it? How in what sense is Vidar trying to assist the Michael, the time spirit? So,
He
how do
is
we
the
get
Yeah, he is the guardian of the threshold of the elemental path.
right?
And there he makes his teaching, and he always, all the archangels were in the Michael school, all
Mhm.
the folk spirits. So he is, of course, supporting the Michaelic teachings, but he sort of can bring them more specifically to the different groups of people,
Hmm. Yeah.
while the archive goes for the whole world.
Ex- yeah, exactly. And
And the,
that's
and the angels go for the human beings,
yeah, the
the
individuals. Yeah,
individuals.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Good. Interesting. I look forward to hearing more. I know one of your books is Encounters with Vidar. Is that your most recent book, where you talk more about that, or?
Yeah, well, yes. We have also, you see, when you follow this path to Vidar, that is the elemental door, the door of the elements.
Mhm.
And Rudolf Steiner described 3 doors: the door of the sun, the door of the elements, which at his time was partly closed,
Mhm.
and the door of death. So it was actually 2 doors at Steiner's time. Then the elemental door has opened,
Mhm.
and to my
Astonishment. Yeah.
astonishment, I'm not into English today. Astonishment.
For warning.
Yeah. So I, by studying these doors, I found a 4th door being opened. And when I stood in front of that 4th door, it was such a huge light. So I called it the door of light.
Hmm.
And now I realize afterwards, without actually having read it, I have just been told by a few of my anthroposophic friends that Steiner said that they would open a door in some years for the future. And when you go to Peter Dunau, he calls it the door of light. So as this Mystech conference will be about light, then the fourth door, the door of light, might be quite interesting and important. Because this is the door that is mostly updated, you might say,
Yeah.
mostly valid, updated for today.
With
People of today,
humanity where they are in their.
humanity where they are.
Yeah.
And this is a fourth path into the spiritual, which is just, I mean, Steiner described Vidar and these things, but this is just mentioned as it was not even open at that time.
Sounds fascinating. It's not something I recognize from my reading, but so I really look forward to hearing you talk more about this at the conference
Yeah.
and
So
digging
this,
into it, so like sharing the knowledge
yeah.
between people.
So what I work with now these days is actually this fourth gate. I work with that now every day. And this fourth gate also have a secret relation to the Vulcan beings, which I know is important for Mystech.
Yes, because of the technological aspect.
Yes.
Yeah. The mechanical
And
forces.
already I have been instructed to build a machine by the Vulcan leader that channel etheric energy, and I am now trying it out. And it has some already astounding results. But I will not say more about that for the time being.
It does.
But this is not a machine. And that is interesting. You see, we have been thinking machine, machine, machine. This is built with colors and not technological
Not like the
wheels.
Keeling machine that was talked about in early anthroposophy and to which Steiner referred as well.
Yes.
Yeah, because that was a mechanical device that was somehow able to. It was Keeler, wasn't it? Was the name of the inventor? He had created
Kiwi,
this,
yeah. Kiwi.
device,
Yeah.
but nobody else could get it to work because it was,
Yeah.
if you like, optimized for his etheric body.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to have to listen to your conference as well and find out more.
Yeah. So I will then see you there.
I look forward to it. And Andrew has generously given me access to the content. It's like when it's available. So I really look forward to listening and being part of the conversation about like to what extent it's like where do we find evidence of it in Steiner's work, and how can people integrate it into like their lives and the world around them. Thank you so much for sharing your thinking with us, and I hope it all goes well at the conference.
Hope so. I
I'm
hope
sure.
so.
You've done these type of things often enough. It's not going to be a problem, is it? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
You.
Pleasure talking with you.
Goodbye.
Bye.